Yeah, let's try them and see how it works. And
yeah, but most of the time
we got them.
Really stick to that plastic.
The dye guy gave it to you?
Yeah, well, he said they work. So
the dye guy gave it to him. They're working.
Yeah, our dye vendor gave them to us. So
the dye vendor did it. They're working. They wouldn't be selling them if it wasn't.
These aren't going to work anyway. They're higher than the height of your dye, which means
it's gonna crush them. Yeah.
First cut. Oh no! So I give those back to pay for them. But
no, we didn't pay for them.
whatever you put on here, just make sure you're lower than that. I mean, seriously, what I said, you can take 2 drywall screws, put them in a 45 corner, slide them into that, and you're good. Just be lower than dye, or they will be lower than dye. You're cutting a material that's not going to be real difficult to cut, but if you're cutting anything that had fiber in it or whatever else, you have lots of different types of cutting boards to consider. This is nylon, you have clay, you have Lexan, you have PVC, you have copper. Okay, so the biggest thing is you want a clean cut, and you don't want to be monkeying with it. So if I was cutting some fiberglass, carbon fiber, any fabric or whatever else, and the dye corners don't come exactly together, every single cut you're going back in there and cleaning these things up to get it free, and you don't want it. That's why, I mean, copper, if you can imagine, on a steel roll, the life isn't very long, but it's less expensive for them to use copper and to be replacing dyes than it is to monkey with that, the strands that aren't getting cut every single cut. So you can experiment with different types of material. I recommend that you go down to your local plastic company and say, I want some hard stuff, I want some soft stuff, just to play with. Get a 12 by 12 piece, stick it in the press with a smaller die, and experiment, find out what works best for you. I've seen people waste hundreds and hundreds, thousands of hours. All they had to do is change a cutting board, and it would have been a whole different deal. Every material and die design will react differently. So experiment with different cutting boards. On corners and stuff, you really got to communicate with your die maker. Die makers are worth their weight in gold. They can tell you how to save a fortune. The problem is they don't like wasting all this time with a company, and then next thing they know, you're buying your dies someplace else after they invest. So they've learned not to invest a bunch of, what do you want? Give me a drawing, I'm going to make that. Instead of saying, hey, we could do this or we could do that. Welded edges. It's nothing for them to braze a corner, regrind the blade on it, and that keeps, over time, from a corner point from separating. Or if it's a straight point, which they try and do, they try not to do them on the corner. But if you have a butted end like this here, if it's not brazed and reground out, that is your weakest point, and that's going to eventually separate, and now you're not getting all the way through when you're cutting. So take the die guy some donuts, make nice, invite them over here, give them a hat or something, and say, hey, can you take a look and maybe give us some recommendations on how to improve our die? Very, very important. People buy really expensive machines, but that right there, that and your cutting board determines your downtime way more than the machine ever will. So you want to pay attention to that. If you ever get to where you're doing hole punches, just recognize that any kind of circles that you're cutting out. Did one of these have circles?
Yeah, the one behind it.
Okay.
So this is actually going to be a crush.
Compress.
Yeah, it's a cut and then a compression about 5/8.
Okay.
And this is the full cut as an 1 1/4 inch.
Gotcha. Holes are a little bit of a nightmare because, especially when you get little 1 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch holes, the material's going in, and it's got to go someplace. So you put ejection springs in your pull, popping it out, but now it's filling this whole thing with little stupid holes, okay? And now when you're cutting, you're crushing because of those holes. Then you can build, then they have a hollow one, but they have a tendency to get down and underneath the die. Now you're higher in one end than the other. That becomes a problem. So what a lot of guys will do if they're cutting lots of little holes, like for, let's say, a gasket for your truck or something, the header gasket, you can build these, it's a box die, okay? Usually build them out of steel, and there's a cavity for a place for the waste to go. Just let it keep pushing through, and then suck them out every hour or whatever else. Otherwise, it just plays hell with your die. If they keep packing and packing, no place to go, they blow out the piece. So, I mean, your dies are great. There's not a lot of small intricate little stuff. So it's easy to keep track of what's going on. But as you get going, you'll recognize the relationship between the die, the press, and your cutting board, and the materials that you are cutting. So on the crush, what's going to happen with it? It gets thrown away? Yeah. Okay.
If the crush comes out, it doesn't stay in?
No, the crush stays in. Yeah, crush is staying in. Yeah.
It just gives it.
It's just crushing it.
It goes down. It just crushes it. Pre-crushes it down.
Yeah.
It's just a blade to be able to have it cut to go down.
It doesn't go the full depth of it.
I got it. Yeah. Okay.
I've watched them cut on one of the others.
This machine, it should open up a whole new world of opportunities. I mean, in what you can be making and types of materials that you can be doing, whole new markets. I mean, my hell, you can make, if you want to upgrade a business card or whatever else. We
Pretty cool.
So business cards, boxes, all kinds of
All those
stuff.
little keychain things you had.
Everything you can imagine.
Hundreds of
But all these little
just takes a
keychains.
die.
Yeah, it's a die. I mean, literally, it's
Nice.
just everywhere you're going, just be looking and saying, oh, we can make that now, we can make that now, we can make that now. So, and dies, like, the die for this, like $50. And you can be printing these on paper.
That's your card, right?
Yeah, you can be printing these on paper upstairs on some cardstock. You need new business cards. You could make a die that makes a wafer shape, cutting out all the pieces and just leaving a part on